Hi everybody, it's David from Doctors of Running, and today we're taking a look at the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 2. After 109.5 miles, I finally got this shoe over 100 miles. For those that have been following the site, I've talked about it at length a couple times that the Vaporfly just didn't quite work for my mechanics. Felt like it was a little high up, the drop was a little bit higher than I wanted it to be. The transition wasn't quite as smooth from the heel through the midfoot. As I've worn this more as a workout shoe because of that every once in a while when I just need something to run in. As it's broken in, a lot of that has changed, and this shoe actually is working really well for me now. Right around the 60-mile mark, things started to change for me. I think it just takes me a little bit longer to break in certain shoes as well. I had the same experience with the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, where as I put more and more miles on that shoe, I enjoyed that shoe a lot more. But overall, things are holding up pretty well. There's some noticeable wear in the heel here. We have a little bit of the exposed midsole getting eaten up, a little bit of abrasion right here on the posterior lateral heel. Starting to cut into the foam a little bit, but overall it's still holding up pretty well. The traction on the forefoot held up pretty well for me today. Just did 20 miles in them this morning. But there is still a little bit of noticeable wear, and it's starting to slip a little bit more, but the traction's still holding up well enough. Upper is holding up just fine. I just find I have to lock it down a little bit. I still have the same security issues that I had in the past with it, but as long as I lock it down on the tighter side, it seems to do pretty well. The midsole itself has softened up a little bit, not necessarily in a way that it makes it real soft and cushy and bouncy, but I think I've just broken in the foam a little bit more so that transition from that heel to that midfoot actually has cleaned up quite a bit for me. For me, from the midfoot forward, the shoe has always been pretty good. And so that's why it's been a shoe that I wouldn't mind racing a road 5K in, or I did a road 4 mile in it last year. But it just didn't feel quite right for me for the longer distances. But now that I've broken it in more, the transitions are actually a lot smoother. And so it's going to enter the lineup again of potential shoes that I might race in. I think it's actually going towards the top now because the weight of the shoe is actually lower than a lot of the other shoes on the market. And the transition's just cleaned up and feels good. A couple other similar shoes that I'm looking at: Puma Fast R, Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, and Asics Metaspeed Edge Plus. So we got a couple different things on the lineup, all pretty similar, but all have their own differences as well. Going into marathon season here. But the Nike Next Percent 2 has held up really well for me. And I think this is a shoe that I can now kind of transition it more into that long run shoe and kind of performance trainer almost, and do a lot of my workouts, long runs in it. And then if I decide to race in this, I'll get another pair, probably put another 50 miles on it or so before race day, just to make sure that it's broken in and everything's going well. But yeah, that's the Nike Next Percent 2 after 109.5 miles.